Hello guys, welcome to my review of the Bachmann GP30 locomotive. This review is not intended to be watched by those who are die-hard model railroaders. Nothing against you guys, but this is something for those who are just looking for a way to get into the hobby, maybe looking for a cheap locomotive to get into DCC with, or hobbyists who do not model trains whatsoever freaking ever, except for the occasional build-up 1/35 scale kit. Anyway, so what do we have here? We have the Bachmann iteration of the EMD GP30. This locomotive design was designed by the GM Motive Design Company to hide the air intake, which is on the other side of the engine, which is how you get this characteristic hump. And no, not in that sense, or the other sense. Anyway, the GP30 is a reliable locomotive that can still be found in use today, though very worn out or in master-slave configuration. This engine cost me at Trainworld $100, excluding shipping, and is a decent runner. Decent being the key word. The engine has minor separately applied details, mostly molded on details, and is very generic. Those of y'all who are very much in the know of what the SP had against all the other railroads might be noticing a few lacking features. The first of those features being the Southern Pacific light kit on both sides, among other specific details that the Southern Pacific had on their GP30s. Now I'm going to get right into the review, and I'll just give y'all a generic rundown, since this is a generic GP30. So, what we have at first, if I can just get this pointed towards you guys, is, I don't know if y'all can see it, to be perfectly honest. I mean, on my end, you can barely see them. On the nose, you have separately applied handrails. Back here, up here, we'll show that again on the overtop view. Then two in front, separately painted marker lights, sand hatch, thin paint, and the handrails are very sturdy. The coupler cut lever works. This is how you pull the pin on the real engine. For those who do not know what this lever does. Again, lack of an SP light kit for those who are into the Southern Pacific. Lit number boards only when the forward facing light is on. No interior. 2 Leslie single chime air horns. And the what would be the gyros on the SP locomotive. Rotating to the engineer's side. We'll go on to here. Again, handrails are pretty sturdy on mine. They're bent inward, but that's from shipping. Again, your characteristic hump. The trucks, they are clip-on. You don't have to remove any screws or anything. Leslie air horn. Your air intake. Dynamic brake blister. Dynamic brake fan would be up here. VIN road number, separately applied paint and stamping. Fuel tank is very much a generic fuel tank from Bachmann. How do I know this? Because I have a GP40. Well, had a GP40. They had the same details. On the back again, absent SP light kit, another sand filler hatch, if that's even what that is. Any one of those two hatches I pointed out on the front and back, it'd be sand filler hatches. Separately applied handrail on top, your dynamic brake fans. There's 3 of them, which is why it looks like I tapped 1, 2, 3 on the same fan. Separately applied handrails all the way down. Stanchions are the same. Moving cut lever, very much standard. Lit number boards, which are directional. Same thing as the other side, except a little bit different. On the other side, the handrail was straight. You have a little bit more of a walkway here. This is how you would get onto the locomotive from the back. More of the same, essentially. Underneath, you have your speaker. That DCC marking is exclusive to Bachmann. Then you have your mounts. You do not have to remove the couplers to get the shell off. I will show you how to get the shell off here in a second. So how you get the shell off is, if I can just lay you, never mind, is you have 2 screws on the fuel tank. You undo those with a screwdriver. And I'm gonna have to turn it towards me in a minute. You're gonna want a magnetic screwdriver. And what you're gonna do is you're essentially gonna take the fuel tank off. Like so. That exposes your speaker, if I can get that on camera. And then there's another 2 screws. Keep your 2 different sizes separate. That is your shell screw. You can get it up against the GS4 so you can kind of see it more. 2 different sizes, you'll be able to tell them apart. I know this is not very impromptu or professional, my bad. And then you essentially just pull off. This is what the inside looks like. I'm gonna get the shell out of the way real quick. This is what the inside of the engine looks like. You have a built-in decoder. It has some resistors, though they might not even be resistors at all. Nylon gears, be careful of that. Nylon gears, they are prone to chipping and breaking over time. And it also makes the locomotive very noisy. As well as a standard, pardon language, cheap-ass Bachmann 3-pole motor. Your shell goes on. No, I almost had it. Your shell goes on like that. I'll get this sealed up real quick and then we'll do the overtop view. Okay, and the last screw is going in now, so I figured I'd get it recording because my phone has a timer on the camera apparently. And that's the last screw. Okay, here is your overtop view. Getting your 3 fans, your exhaust, and your separately applied air horns. And a better look at one of those separately applied handrails on the nose. Overall, this engine is worth the $100 US that you'll pay for it. Not the best runner, a bit noisy, but it pulls. Almost. In my own ranking system, which I'm kind of basing off of Sam's trains, but you know, we don't talk about that. Using the GS4 as a way to pull, as well as a tug of war between the Gevo that I have and this locomotive. The GS4, though it's a weaker engine, pulled the GP30 backwards, though it struggled, and it was a slow pull backwards. The ES44 that I have outright pulled it around the track, while the engine was going the other direction. If that tells you anything about how powerful the GEVO is. It can pull a significant freight train up a 1.2% grade. Keep in mind, I said freight train, these are not passenger locomotives. If you want to see a passenger locomotive, that's a passenger locomotive. This is not, this is for freight. Freight or cargo, as some other nations call it. I go either or. So, speaking of mixed freight, I'll set y'all up with a run by after I do some complex switching puzzles with the GS4 and its train, and the GP30's freight train. So, be right back.